Assalamu alaikum all. Today, inshallah, I will try to introduce to you the knowledge of Hadith and Nabi, peace be upon him. What is the definition of his Hadith, his speech? How we can understand the differences between those Ahadith? What's the rules of the scholars that they collected those Ahadith? Now, the definition of Hadith and Nabi, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, whatever we received from Rasulullah from him as qawl, what he said, fa'il, what he did, taqrir, what he confirmed, and his attitude and his character as a human being. Qawl, as he said, what, for example, he said, La darar wa la dirar, don't hurt yourself and don't accept to hurt somebody else. The fi'l, what he did, like his praying, his performing the hajj, how he used to do the zakah. His confirming means if something happened in front of him and he confirmed by being quiet or give a smile face for such an incident. Like, for example, when the kids from Abyssinia used to come to play in the masjid and he used to see them and did nothing and said nothing, means he is agreeing with that. As-sifa, his attitude, his manner, his behavior, his akhlaq. This is part of his sunnah and we have to copy him in that type of attitude as much as we can. The people in the time of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon the community, not the same. We have a-sahabi, we have a-tabi'i. Now, a-sahabi, who is a-sahabi? What's the definition of a-sahabi? A-sahabi, any person, he saw the Prophet, peace be upon him, while he was Muslim, that person, and he passed away Muslim. We call him sahabi. Okay? Now, their children, some of them, they saw the Prophet, so they will be Sahaba, and some of them, they didn't, so they will call or they be known by Tabi'een or Tabi'i. So a Tabi'i, the one who saw the Sahabi, and he was Muslim when he saw the Sahabi, and he passed away also Muslim. Their kids, we call them, if they saw the Sahabi, Tabi'een, if they not, we call them also the Tabi'een, etc. Those people, these communities, we call them Ar-Ruwan. Ar-Rawi, the one who narrate the narration from Rasulullah or from his teachers to the students. So, those Ruwa used to live in each community. Each community, we call it tabaqa, they live in certain time. Each people in certain time, they live in the same area, in the same time, or different areas, but in the same time, we call them tabaqa, means community, means generation. Okay? For example, Sahaba community, we call them Ta1, tabaqa number 1, because they live in the same time, in different places, or one place. Their kids, or the next generation of their kids, we call them Ta2, because they're a different community, they live in different time and different places. Ta3, the next generation. Ta4, the next generation. Then, etc., etc., up to the time that in Ta7, for example, those people, they live in that time, in that place, they said to themselves, okay, let us do something different. Let us stop narrating the hadith and start writing down. Let us write those hadith down with a certain methods that we can make sure that this is a hadith sahihah. Now, what the Prophet said as a text, we call it al-matan. The chain from Ta1 to Ta7, which is al-musannif here, the one who wrote it down, we call each line, each chain, sanad. For that reason, there is matan and there is a lot of chains lead to that matan. We call each one by sanad. If this matan is not reaching us in a proper way from this sanad, we search for another sanad. Now those ruwa, the people among the chains, they are not the same. Some of them, we call him thiqa, you trust, Some of them, he is not thiqah, we can trust his narration. Now, thiqah here goes for two things. Number one, his deen, his fearing Allah. Number two, his memory. How we can trust his memory or not. Absolutely, it's not an easy job. You have to study his biography, his life, and to see how many times he did the mistakes in remembering things. Okay? For that reason, it's a huge work from such a scholars to tell us each rawi if he is thiqa or not thiqa. So al-musannif, like Imam Muslim or Imam Bukhari or whatever, those used to be part of the chain, but they said, let me do something new, which is they used to be smart and creative people. They wrote down all what they received in that time from their shuyukh, their teachers. And most of them between 260 and the beginning of the next century. So, the types of hadith based on the sihha or not sihha, correct or not correct, we have four major types. Al-sahih, as-sahih, any hadith, all the chain, all the people in the chain, all the ruwah, where trust in their religion, in their fearing Allah, in their deen, and in their memory, and what they said to us will not go against the logic of the knowledge and the logic of the deen, will consider their chain and their text that they brought it to us sahih. The next one, we call it al-hasan, it's good, but less than sahih. If one or more from those ruwah, his memory, his deen has to be the same, but his memory not that much strong like that one. If that one is 100% strong, al-hasan means 99 or 98. How we can understand this, how we can know that from the life of this person. They used to study his life. How many times he used to make a mistake? If it's always he does mistakes, means he's not even acceptable. But wallahi, once a year he forgot one number, once a year he forgot, that's different story. We can consider him as hadith hasan. Okay? Al-da'if, hadith al-da'if, number one, means he's weak, it's weak. One of the ruwa in the chain or more, he was not thiqah, even in his deen or in his memory. He always made mistakes. He's not that much a religious man. We are sorry we can't take this hadith. Or there is gap between Ta 1 and Ta 2, or Ta 3 and Ta 4, or whatever. This gap means he said, I saw him, but when you study his life, you will find out that he was born after the death of that teacher. So how you said that you saw him? So this kind of gaps, we call it inqita, disconnected sanad, disconnected chain. This hadith will be da'if. Now also some da'af will come from the text itself, as we'll explain inshallah in the future. Al-mawdu', hadith al-mawdu', if there is one rawi among the chain, among the sanad, or more, he is a liar. And he made up this matan, this text, and he attached this text to one of those sanad that we have among the chains of the ahadith. So this hadith will be mawdu', means being made up from somebody. As for example, most of those wadda'un, the liars, they made up a hadith for achieve sometimes business reasons. And one person, he used to sell batikh, the watermelon in Baghdad. He want to sell this product, and it's funny. He made a sign. He made a sign over his store or wherever, and he said, "قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم." The Prophet, peace be upon him, says, "أكثروا من أكل البطيخ." Eat as much as you can from watermelon. Another one, he is selling harisa, sweet thing. They used to make those ahadith just to justify selling their good, which is absolutely a big crime. So this is hadith mawdu'a. And most of the hadith mawdu'a, you can smell it. if you have the senses, how you judge the Prophet, peace be upon him, his way of talking, his way of speaking, his way of understanding and teaching, you can smell immediately if this hadith been made up or not. Now, the type of ahadith, the type of ahadith based on the number of the ruwah in each tabaqa, in each chain, we have, if all the tabaqat, all the community, all the levels of the chain has a lot of ruwa, a lot of people in each tabaqa, and those people no way that they can agree to lie or to make up any hadith, we will call this hadith mutawatir, and he is perfect, the highest level of correction hadith. المشهور, the famous, we have a lot of ruwa in each tabaqa, but not to the level of the mutawatir. There is percentage that they can make something like made up something or agree about something. Now, if the number of the ruwa in one of the tabaqat or more, two or one, if two we call this hadith aziz, if we have two in one tabaqa or more than one tabaqa, two rawi, two person, or one, we call this hadith. If we have two, we call it gharib. If we have one, we call it aziz. So this kind of types of hadith based on the number of the ruwa in each tabaqa, in each community, in each part of the chain. Writing the ahadith. As I said, those who wrote the ahadith down in their books, they used to be part of the chain, part of the sanad, but they said, let me do something new, something different. Those scholars like Imam Bukhari, Imam Muslim, Abu Dawood, Nasa'i, Ibn Majah, Tirmidhi, Malik, Ahmad, Ibn Hanbal, and we have a lot of others, but they are not famous like those. The majority of them, they go with the way that you make the system in the book, that you go with the topics. Doesn't matter who's the Rawi from Sahaba, you go by topic. We have title and subtitle. The big title they call it Kitab, the subtitle they call it Bab. For example, Kitab al-Salah, Babu Salatul Witr. Kitab al-Hajj, Babu al-Tawaf. Kitab al-Zakah, Babu Zakat al-Hulay. For example, the jewelry, how to give the zakah based on the jewelry. So this type of publishing and writing the books is good for studying and students and picking something and search for something. The other way, which is what Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal picked, based on who is the rawi from as-Sahaba. He will start with, for example, Abu Bakr, all what he his narration, then Umar, then Uthman, then Ali, then Fatima, then Aisha, then doesn't matter what's the subject in that Musnad. He used to call Musnad Abu Bakr, Musnad Uthman, Musnad Ali, Musnad Umar, etc. And if you look at the time that we have here, you see that the closest person from them to the time of the Sahaba is Imam Malik, 93, then Ahmad ibn Hanbal, 164. Then you go to Imam al-Bukhari, and between Imam al-Bukhari and between Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal, 20 years. Between Imam al-Bukhari and Muslim, 10 years. 206 Muslim, 194 Imam Bukhari. Then you see, for example, 209, we have Ibn Majah and Tirmidhi, 202 Abu Dawood, 215 Nasa'i. So at most of them, at the last 10 years in the 2nd century and the beginning of the 3rd century of Hijrat al-Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So the way of their way of writing or publishing their books by the topic and subtitle, Kitab and Bab, and the next way it's by the one who narrated this hadith from as-Sahaba, like Abu Bakr, Ali, etc. And they will never focus about the subject in their way. We ask Allah for all of us that we understand, alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, idea about this uh, subject. Jazakumullah khair. See you inshallah very soon.